If you worked with cameras in any professional settings, you know what filters are. They are lifesavers, they help you create amazing effects. Mist filters, CPLs to remove glare, then things like the ND to help you shoot at extremely low apertures in horribly harsh sunlight. They are lifesavers. They are an essential part of the filming process, I think, for a lot of creatives. And I know myself, I do carry an ND with me everywhere I go, and sometimes a CPL as well. But one of the biggest issues that come with these filters is when your lens collection starts growing and you have a bunch of lenses like I do with different filter threads, you can't use the same filter anymore. You gotta have different sizes for different lenses, or you get yourself step-up rings like these, which are also great, but that's a lot more money, and the ones I have right here are cheap $3 lens filters that really don't, I wouldn't really recommend them. I love them, they work great, but they have a tendency to strip and cause issues with your filters in repeated use cases. That is where Kolari Vision comes in. They take away the need to have your filters in front of your lens by placing it between your lens and your sensor. Shout out to Kolari Vision for sending this out to me to review and check out. Be sure to check them out. I will have links in the description to all these products that we'll be showing. This kit that I've got right here comes with an ND filter, a mist filter, a little tool for placing and removing said filters. It also came with a frame to use on special Sony cameras that don't have a magnetic base. I'll have a list out here of the ones that don't. My A7CR, for example, does not have the magnetic properties on top, so I had to install the frame, which is actually quite a simple procedure. It's just taking off the 3M stickers on the back, slapping it right on there, and you're good to go. Be careful to align it though, you do not want to screw this up. I do exercise caution, of course, but it's quite straightforward, and I think it's really simple to get done. And so now I'm able to use the filters on both my video camera and my photo camera, which is amazing. And again, Kolari Vision, thank you for sending these out to me. Let's get right into it. Now, how these filters work are by magnetically attaching to the front of your sensor. There's a little magnetic area on top of your frame right here. You gotta be careful, of course, when you're doing this, but they stick right on and they're not gonna come off. As you can see right here, here's the sensor, here's the filter. You just pop it on like so, adjust it into place, and you're good to go. And if you wanna take it out, you take the separator tool, dig into the bottom right there, and just lift. And with the two other hands, slowly remove the sensor. It's actually a lot more straightforward than you would think to use these filters, which is really amazing, and I am a huge fan of that. And honestly, I've not taken them off since having them on my lenses. Taking a closer look, let's start off by checking out the ND filter. ND filters, or neutral density filters, are pretty much like sunglasses for your cameras. These specifically are a 6-stop filter, stopping 6 stops worth of light. Now, I filmed this footage in Qatar, as you can see here, in very harsh sunlight in the desert. It's 36 degrees out there, and even in this harsh sunlight, it does a really good job. It lets you expose at a lower aperture. You can film at f1.4 in this footage, as you can see right here. I'm filming at f1.4 with the ND put in, and once I take it out, I have to adjust my aperture to f22 to be able to get the same level of exposure, which is ridiculous if you want to shoot in lower apertures. And as you can see at f22, you can see a little speck of dust that's on my sensor you wouldn't see at f1.4 because the optics would completely blur it out. I think everyone has used ND filters at some point. If you work in videography, if you're filming in log, you need a way to expose your footage so that you can color grade it and all that stuff. So I think ND filters are one of the main filters that anyone ever picks up in order to work with video especially, and in some use cases for photo as well, because you can do really cool long exposures in the sunlight if you have NDs on you. Speaking about the ND filters, of course, adding a piece of glass in between the sensor and the lens is probably going to cause some issues, is what you're thinking in your head. Not really. As you can see in the footage right here, this is footage completely shot clean with no filters or anything of the sort in the camera, and this is with the ND filter on the right here. And as you can see there's very few color discrepancies. I don't have one of those fancy boards to kind of show you guys that there really is no difference, but I think this works beautifully, and you really don't see any changes in terms of color saturation or hues. And of course, it is a necessity for anyone who is working with professional camera crews and stuff. So I think it beats the ball out of the park with this one. Moving on to the mist filter. This is a 1/4 mist filter, which means it's not really the strongest. I think you can get 1/8 as well, but this is like the second least strongest mist filter that you can get your hands on, as far as I know. But they pretty much help haze up your photos. That sort of dreamy, glowy look that you get in a lot of photos. Of course, you can do it in pose, you can do it in Lightroom, you can haze it up with the dehaze adjustments and the clarity and whatever. But this helps you do it in camera, which I always appreciate, because in-camera effects, in my personal opinion, always look a hell of a lot better than anything you can do in post-production. The mist filter right here, as you can see in the photos, it gives a soft glow in the sunlight, which just, it's a vibe of its own. Of course, you can maybe take a UV filter, slap some Vaseline on there, you can get a similar effect. But the level of quality that you achieve in an actual mist filter, as compared to the DIY hacks, is monumental if you've actually had the chance to try both versions out. And as you can see in the portrait right here, the kind of ethereal look that comes off of her necklace in this shot is all thanks to mist filter. Mist filters usually work really well if you shoot directly into the light. As you can see here in this footage, it gives this sort of hazy look that I think I really appreciate in footage, and it gives it the quote-unquote cinematic vibe that a lot of people are chasing on social media nowadays. But it also does have a lot of practicalities in low light settings, which I unfortunately didn't have a lot of chance to check out. But as you can see in the souk here, the lights here kind of like have this diffusion on top of them, which you wouldn't necessarily see as vibrantly in the daylight, of course, but in the low light situations when there are light sources, you get these really sick diffusion bits, which I really think is adds a little bit of bump to your photography and your videography as well, if that's something you plan on doing. When looking into filters, mist filters are probably the first effect filter a lot of people purchase, and I do recommend it. I haven't taken it off of my A7CR since I've put it on there, because I've been using it all the time, and because it's a 1/4, it doesn't really affect my work negatively in any way. I know that a lot of higher stop mist filters can be sort of frustrating to work with, because if you have it on there all the time, all your footage is going to be kind of, you know, kind of not as kind of diffused and stuff, which you don't necessarily always want to do one sharper image at a time. But this being a 1/4 stop mist filter doesn't do that, and it lets you experiment with lower diffusion levels, so that maybe in the future, if you want to upgrade, you can go for a higher stop mist filter. As you guys can see, these are pretty viable replacements for your filters. Of course, they do come at a premium cost. These are not that cheap to make. This is really expensive glass and really good quality ND. I have worked with a lot of ND filters before. I've used a lot of filters in my time, and I think these might be the highest and the most color accurate filters I've ever had my hands on, and I'm really happy that I got to use them. I think one of the few downsides I would say is that you do actually have to open up the camera every time to put it in, of course, and you have to make sure that your sensor is clean and clean the glass as well all the time, because you gotta be careful. You can't have the little tiny specks of dust in there. You gotta be careful about that, but that's the only real negative that I see with these. Otherwise, in a personal day-to-day workflow, it's been much easier for me to replace these NDs than the filters that I would thread on. Of course, magnetic filters exist now, but I've never really been too keen on them, because the idea of them falling off scares me. But having a filter between your sensor and your lens, it's not gonna fall off, and it's magnetic. I've had my eyes on these for a while, and I'm really glad that I got to check them out, and I do truly recommend them with all my heart. I think a lot of the projects I will be working on moving forward, I will be using these in my workflow as much as possible. Yeah, I think these are definitely a must-buy for anyone looking into getting into professional videography. I do highly recommend that you guys check out Kolari Vision. They have a lot of other filters, including some sick IR filters, which I might check out if I get the chance. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. It was not sponsored by Kolari in any way. They did send the products out. For full transparency, Kolari Vision, again, did send these products out, but it's not sponsored in any way. It's a completely heartfelt review from my end. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys in the next one.